Okay, y'all, let's get started. We have a full agenda today. So the Senate will now come to order. First order of business is roll call. So the Clerk of Senate will now take roll. Ari, the floor is yours.
Point of order, the land acknowledgement is before roll call.
Thank you. Actually, before we get into the land acknowledgement, thanks for the reminder, Sarah. I wanted to go over sorry, Amanda, can you go to this previous slide? Thank you. So Zoom recently updated the nonverbal feedback option. So voting will be taking place differently moving forward. So just to go over Zoom etiquette and how voting will be taking place in this meeting, you have to click the reactions window that you should be able to see at the bottom bar of your Zoom window. And then once you click reactions, it should bring you to this next picture where you'll see the raise hand feature and the nonverbal feedback that used to be in the participants window. So for voting today, if you would like to vote yes for a motion, click your raise hand. And if you'd like to vote no, click no. And if you'd like to abstain, click go slower. And the reason we're doing that is because now the reactions disappear after about 10 to 12 seconds. So essentially the raise hand feature for yes is going to make it a lot easier to count the votes as they come in. So that means that senators have to be really attentive to seeing what their vote is on the screen, because if you vote no or if you abstain, your reaction will disappear after 10 to 12 seconds. So just make sure not to lower your hand if you're voting yes until the motion either passes or fails or is tabled. And if you're voting no or you're abstaining, to make sure that that's continually showing up on your screen until the motion is decided. And then if you have any questions, comments, or motions, like always, use the raise hand feature. And also just a reminder that since this meeting is being recorded, all of the chats will be recorded as well in a transcript later. So just a reminder that all private messages are also recorded. So yes, that's that on how the protocol will be for voting. Does anyone have any questions? If not, we can move on to the land acknowledgement. So as we gather for this meeting, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, I'd like us to take a moment to reflect on the meaning of place, and in doing so, recognize the various traditional lands on which we do our business today. And since this meeting is being held online, a singular land acknowledgement can't capture the richness of our distribution across the world. So since ASG is a body under the University of San Diego, I would like us to share the land acknowledgement that is used at USD. And I also invite you all today to consider your own positionality with regard to the land where you find yourselves. So I would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional and unceded territory of the Kumeyaw Nation. I want to pay respect to the citizens of the Kumeyaw Nation, both past and present, in their continuing relationship to their ancestral lands. Thank you. The Clerk of Senate may now take order.
Thank you. And hello, everybody. So good to see you all already. So first up, AJ Armienta.
Here.
Thank you. Alana Del Torre.
Here.
Thank you. Alexa Andrade.
Here.
Angelo Tharp. Okay, I'll go back. Benjamin Tebow.
Here.
Awesome. Brooke Powell.
Here.
Great. Cecilia Barron. There you go.
Here.
Daniela Peña.
Here.
Elena Cruz.
Here.
Awesome. Ezra Wheeler.
Here.
Thank you. Fantasy Bias. Thank you. Harrison Tarbox.
Here.
Lauren Fetis.
Here.
Thank you. Madeline Wu.
Here.
Thank you. Max Donahoe.
Here.
Thank you. Meg McWilliams.
Here.
Thank you. Megan Womack. Please pronounce me if I misspell it.
That's correct. Here.
Awesome. Thank you. Mia Soto.
Here.
Thank you. Sabrina Mendoza.
Here.
Thank you. Sean Kenny.
Here.
Great. Thomas Riley.
Here.
And then Tiana Fee.
Here.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Ari. Next order of business is approval of today's agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Lauren?
I move to approve today's agenda.
Second.
There is a motion having been seconded to approve today's agenda. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Just a reminder, if you're voting, I understand that it's a totally new thing, but if you're voting yes, please raise the raise hand button instead of the check mark. Thank you. Motion passes. The agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from November 12th, 2020. Are there any motions to approve the minutes? Madeline?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
There is a motion on the floor having been seconded to approve the minutes from November 12th, 2020. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Motion passes. The minutes are approved. Thank you all. Next item on the agenda is appointment of Speaker Pro Temp. So for context, unfortunately, Chidi won't be on Senate this semester, but we wish her all the best and we hope to see her in hearing of the public and hopefully at future Senate meetings. So that means that there's a vacancy in the Speaker Pro Temp position, and I am recommending that Fantasy Bias be appointed acting Speaker Pro Temp for the rest of the semester. And our parliamentarian Sarah can now take the floor to explain the logistical aspect of that appointment.
Thank you. So basically, we looked over it today, and there's a lot of contradiction within the Senate bylaws and the Constitution in regard to filling this vacancy of the office of Speaker Pro Temp. Specifically, there's like a lack of clarity about who appoints the Pro Temp and what vote is used to confirm the appointment. So the judicial branch meets tonight, and we'll discuss these inconsistencies in the bylaws and the Constitution, and we'll work towards coming to a decision hopefully tonight about what procedure is most appropriate and effective for the Senate. And so that decision will definitely be made before the next Senate meeting on Tuesday. So it's my recommendation that you table this agenda item until next meeting so that we can give you a more clarified decision on how it should work.
Thank you, Sarah. Fantasy, you have your hand raised. Oh, no, okay, just making sure. So I'm recommending Fantasy because she has experience with Robert's Rules, given that she's been on Senate for previous years now. And Her commitment to ASG has been evident throughout her tenure as a senator and as the student org committee chair in the past, and now as the universal design subcommittee coordinator. So that's the explanation for my recommendation. Like Sarah said, the judicial branch will be meeting on how to go forward with that recommendation. But at this moment, are there any motions regarding tabling the discussion like Sarah recommended? Sabrina?
I move to table the discussion to next meeting.
Okay, so you move to table discussion next meeting. Got it.
Second.
There was a motion on the floor having been seconded to table this discussion of appointment of Speaker Pro Temp to next Senate meeting. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Great, motion passes. This discussion has been tabled. Thank you all. You can lower your hands. And next item of business is report from me. So next week's Senate, like I said in the email that I sent out, will be held on Tuesday, February 2nd at 1:00 p.m. Because there's a conflict with the All Faiths Mass on the Thursday, so Senate couldn't be scheduled at that time. And as I also mentioned in the email that went out on Tuesday, thank you, Fantasy, that also went out on Tuesday, is that since Torero Hours, that week's first Torero Hours is going to be held on Tuesday, there's a lot of events and a kickoff for Black History Month, which is the month of February. So in alignment with ASG's commitment to uplifting Black voices, I strongly encourage all senators to take advantage of Senate being pushed back from 12:15 to 1:00 p.m. to go to different events and educate yourself on Black history. And as always, if for some reason you can't make Senate that day, the proxy process is the same. So if you can't make Senate, send me the name of the person that will be taking your place in Senate that meeting, and it has to be someone that's in your constituency. So send me their name at least 24 hours in advance, just so we can make sure that they get their Grubhub credit and that they are a part of your constituency. Fantasy? Fantasy, you have your hand raised. Can you hear me? If not, we can come back to you. And then there's also training for ASG for the next 3 Fridays, including tomorrow. So get excited for that. Just a reminder, it should be on your calendar and you should have all received an invite last semester. But if for some reason you don't have the link and it's not showing up, just let me know. And some senators will no longer be continuing with ASG this semester for a variety of reasons. And so we are currently in the process of filling those vacancies, as well as filling vacancies that hadn't been filled last semester. So on the screen, you should be seeing the vacancies that we have right now. So we made a concerted effort to reach out to orgs that target multicultural communities and marginalized voices to make sure that they are aware of the opportunities that are available to them. But I'm asking all of the senators and everyone else who's in this meeting right now to reach out to your networks and let people know that these vacancies are available. There's also materials that have been posted on ASG's Instagram. So if you would be willing to repost that on your stories as well, that would be very helpful in making sure that these positions are filled and people's are being represented properly. Does anyone have any questions on any of my updates? If not, we can move on to next order of business, which is reports from committee chairs and coordinators. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention one more thing that was on my slide, which is that there is also an opening to senators for the health and wellness coordinator position. So if anyone has a passion for health and wellness and would like to apply for that position, just let me know. You can private message me or email me. Thank you. Okay, so now moving on to reports from committee chairs and coordinators. AJ, you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's having a really great start of your school year. The academics committee has already gone into full swing this semester. First things first, we are on our academic grant applications for the spring. Applications will close on February 26th. If you have anybody that wants to do a research project and is looking for funding for that project, please just refer them to us or the ASG website for academic grants. Second point is we are currently working with Fantasy in the Universal Design Ad Hoc Committee on a resolution, the standards of virtual learning. We've received, gathered information, complaints, concerns regarding the policies that USD's faculty are taking whenever accounting for grading, professionalism as to pertain to students on their Wi-Fi, keeping their cameras on, etc. So we're going to be putting that together as a group. And if you have any input or concerns you want us to know about, we would love to hear it. We are going to be meeting together next week on Monday. And if you have anything before then, we would love to hear it. Thank you.
No updates for IDE at this time, except for the 2 gender affirming practices line items under new business.
No new updates for the student org committee.
We have no new updates from the student life committee.
No new updates from the athletics coordinator.
I just have one update. Basically, I looked through like the past 3 years of ASG receipts and kind of like analyzed the stuff that we've been buying. And so the next step would be to look at comparable, sustainable goods that we can purchase instead and create some guidelines for that.
Hi, everyone. So I will be transparent and say I did not put this stuff on there. I think it's from last Senate meeting, which is totally fine because these are still very relevant. Sorry I wasn't as prepared, but the Universal Design Committee is going to be starting up soon, as in just like having more interest, more plans, more collaboration. As a previous senator stated, we are working with other committees and even just directly with some staff or professors or departments and just trying to see what we can do. So I will just keep y'all updated. And if y'all are ever interested, you do not have to be completely committed to the committee. But if you want to be involved in any type of way, just reach out to me. But I'll keep y'all updated in the next coming weeks and months.
Thank you to our chairs and coordinators. Moving on to next item of business, reports from ASG executive board members.
Hello, everyone. I hope you all had a great winter break. Happy to see everyone back and am excited to see the work that we get done this semester. So in terms of updates, so I will be helping with the search for the new VP of Student Affairs. I hope, as you all saw in your emails, that this will be VP Vasquez's last semester as a VP of Student Affairs. So I will be helping with that search. And then just for some context on the second update, at the beginning of last semester, mostly before we had our senators elected or appointed, ASG exec made a really strong effort to meet with a lot of student organizations to help guide our goals. And I mean, that is the purpose of ASG, to help serve our constituents and amplify their voices and strengthen them. Admittedly, that effort faltered as the semester advanced, just with schoolwork and just a plethora of other things that were that factored in. So this semester, our goal is to continue that and make it a more constant effort. So I would say it won't be as many student organizations like within a week that we'll be meeting with. However, the effort will be more spread out throughout the entirety of the semester. So with that, we will also be following up with the Student Athlete Council. So Lauren, I'll keep you looped in on that. And then we also have some potential meetings set up. So if anyone is interested, I would love to have you. It's tough for me to schedule these meetings so that other members of the exec could attend. So anyone from ASG is encouraged to ask questions, really get to know your constituents. It'd be really valuable. I mean, this is kind of, well, it would be a de facto office hours if you attended these to help get, like I said, get to know your constituents. So that's all.
How's it going, everyone? Justin couldn't make it, so I'm going to be reading off his updates. It's a little extensive, so please bear with me. So start off with notes from faculty. There are currently no new details other than those that have been announced to the school via email, but here are a few insights. There is no information on vaccination rollout and how that looks, but as things go by, the faculty, they will do their best to, they will do their best with a gradual return to normal back to the campus this semester and next. A couple of questions we are keeping in mind as moving targets are these. One being, what will reopening of campus look like? How will the modality of learning shift these next 2 semesters? Will we need to shift calendar years? Obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty, but we will adapt as circumstances change. Next to address is the likelihood of pass-fail or future pass-fail. Provost Baker is going to reach out to the University Senate Executive Committee and ASG Executive Board to convene talks again about pass-fail, taking what we learned from last semester and applying that to this and future semesters as well. And then lastly, the budget vote today. So depending on how the budget vote goes today in Senate, I'm making core changes to the ASG textbook reserve. We are planning to shift away from in-person books and towards ebook subscriptions for the textbook reserve. This will increase the equity and access to the reserve for all students, regardless of their location, so as long as they have their San Diego email. This spring semester, we also plan to launch the pilot program that we hope can be sustainable for years to come. And just closing remarks, it was a tumultuous year in 2020, and it will continue to be a game-changing year in 2021. The need for reliable and credible news in a liberal arts education is still prevalent in today's society. The new proposed contract between USD and the New York Times is cheaper than it was in previous years. It will grant any and all students access to the full subscription if they have a San Diego email account. Should this be necessary, a free, no obligation trial can be granted to all senators so that they may utilize the courtesy access to inform their decision. And that's it.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all had a great break and that you and your family stayed safe and healthy over the break as well. Last weekend, TBB helped sponsor some spring welcome events for students who are moving on campus, and this included a chocolate tasting, a virtual chocolate tasting, and then also a text breaking game. It went really well. We had around 50 students participate, which was a really good outcome. And we are currently planning events for Valentine's Day and having a Black History Month speaker. As regards for Valentine's Day, that event is specifically focused on creating friendships and allowing students to meet other students in a virtual setting, but also will be possible to happen if you wanted to just do it with your friend as well. And then just as another reiteration, like I mentioned at the beginning of last semester, if you would like something to be included in the Blue Buzz, whether it's an event that your committee is putting on, or if there's some information you would like to ask from the student body, please let me know. Email the TBB chair email at sandiego.edu by Wednesday, 5 p.m. the week before. I put an example just in case you needed to see it more visually, just because I'm also a visual learner like that. So if you have an event or need to know something by February 11th, please email me by February 3rd, and it'll be included on the Blue Buzz by the 8th. And if you have any questions regarding deadlines and dates with all of that, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And that's it.
Hi, everyone. Happy first week of classes. My updates are pretty much like in the same vein as last semester. I'll start with the Anti-Racism Task Force update, which I told you all last semester that I was part of. I believe at our last meeting, my last update was that we were rushing to get a bunch of recommendations done, and we did. They're finished, I think, at like the end of November. I haven't sent them out to you yet because
administration, I guess, wants to, before they present them publicly, wants to have a more concrete plan of how they're going to be rolled out. So your questions will be answered when you get them, rather than me just saying, I don't really know how specifically this is going to happen. But when I'm able to share them with you, I'll send you the full document and the follow-up documents about how everything is going to be rolled out. But it's a really long list of recommendations. It's like 20 something pages. Yeah, there's a lot. It's very extensive. Next is elections. So they're coming up this semester, or this spring. We've already started working out the timeline, and tonight we're going to finalize the timeline just one last time, and we're going to finalize the seat apportionment for next year. So by next Senate meeting, so on Tuesday, I should have everything finalized, and I'll just tell you what they are. As of right now, we're going to be starting them, I think, around March 8th is the day we start informationals, and voting is sometime in April. I'm not going to give you a definite date because I don't remember, but it's a pretty long process. Also, just I'll just say this: it'd be great if you all return. You're all a great bunch of people, and we'd love to have you, I guess, next year to finish the work that you start this year, and hopefully in person. Which, I mean, I'll be gone, but I'll still check in with you and be like, hey, how you doing? But yeah, that's elections. Bylaw updates. I know I've mentioned all last semester, the judicial branch is working on them. We're pretty close to being done with a few of them, namely the judicial branch ones, which are basically done except for like 2 or 3 points that I have to discuss. And then the performance review bylaws, which are pretty much done actually. But just in case you have questions, I don't want to present them next week, so it'll probably be the week after that, if the agenda's free. And then there are other ones like the student work committee bylaws, which are being created, so that's a lot that may not even be presented to you this year. There's also the Senate bylaws and the ASG general bylaws. Those are also a lot, so they'll be maybe a couple months from now. And also, I think I mentioned possibly adding TPB to the Constitution and like tightening up the Constitution in places where it lacks clarity, like the Speaker Pro Temp vacancy issue. So that will all be later in the semester, but just as a heads up. And then I say this every week, but for the judicial branch checks and balances and whatnot, just email me at my like official ASG email if you have anything like questions about how processes are going, if you think something's maybe like up awry or whatever, just email me and the judicial branch will discuss it. And that's all.
Hello, everyone. The Finance Committee met during break, trying to reallocate the surplus that, as I mentioned last year. And I'll be presenting today those updates to you, and you can ask me any questions if you have any. So that's it for me.
Hi, everyone. It is lovely to see you all again. I hope the semester is off to a very smooth start. Just a few updates. First and foremost, with the ASG sweatshirts, unfortunately, the order had to be delayed a little bit due to some manufacturer back orders. So I apologize for the delay. I'm going to try to prioritize to get them to you as soon as possible, but the order is currently being processed right now, so that's good news. And then second, the Alcala Bazaar is on Tuesday, February 9th and Thursday, February 11th from 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll be present under the category of special interest on Thursday. So if you want to help table that, please let me know. Feel free to send me a private message right now, and I'll get back to you with more info on that. And then as Inaya mentioned, elections, or the Chief Justice mentioned, the Elections Committee will be meeting very shortly to begin just kind of going over everything within that realm. So if you're interested in being part of that committee, also please let me know and send me a private message. It's pretty much just like going over our material for it, giveaways, things of that nature. And then lastly, a friendly reminder that the marketing committee is open for any marketing request. We are here to support you in your events in any way. We just ask that you send your content to us 2 weeks in advance so we can get all of that information up and ready to go. And that's about it. Thanks.
Hello again. So not many updates for me, but as always, I will give Grubhub credits to all senators who attended today. And please, if you're a member of the public and you would like to receive Grubhub credits for today, please put your email down in the chat so that I make sure to get you those credits after today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Moving on to our first item of new business is discussion of gender affirming resources and new gender inclusion guidelines. So Stacy Williams, the Associate Director of the Commons, will be speaking to us today. So Stacy, if you want to share your screen, you can do so. And as a reminder, there's closed captioning link in the chat, so please feel free to take advantage of that.
Hi ASG, as Maya said, my name is Stacy. I use she, her pronouns, though they, them is cool. And I first just wanted to thank you for inviting me to be here to share a bit of resources with you. And then to name that I identify as cis, so I'm here as a fellow ally to look at these tools. I'm going to share my screen. I will share this in handout. Are you looking at the right thing? Yeah, great. Okay. I'll share a handout at the end so you don't have to worry about that. It's all hyperlinked here. But basically, if you walk away from this, the 3 things I want you to know are: number 1, that you have trans constituents. A recent report showed that of 65,000 college students, 2% self-disclosed a trans identity. And that's likely underreporting because it's self-disclosure. And that's before you remember that really cueing safety to trans students indicates to the whole LGBTQ+ community affirmation and visibility. And that in your generation is estimated to be 31% of the population. So do the math on your constituents. It's just a wider population or stakeholders than I think we sometimes realize. 2, trans students, and there's a content warning here, including conversations of suicide ideation and risk. So if you need to turn off your camera, do what you need to take care of yourself. But trans students report really alarming rates of mental health challenges, including higher suicide risk. So a recent report, this is from the Healthy Minds study that was done in 2015, showed that 80% of trans responders on this survey had at least one mental health concern. That's compared to 45% of the cis population. And more than a third of trans students had seriously considered suicide in the past year. And so the last thing that I want you to know is that it actually is within your power to change some of those statistics. And it's really not hyperbolic to say doing the recommendations that I share in a moment are suicide prevention. So with that, we have a bunch of resources and things that you can do. The first thing is the Safe Space Allies Network has moved to a virtual platform. So if you're not yet an ally, we have 6 workshops this semester that you can register and attend just to kind of upskill and learn more about things I'm going to throw at you in like 2 minutes right now. The second thing that you can do is to list and share your pronouns. I saw a ton of you are already doing that on your Zoom right now. You can do that in your classes. You can put it on your social handles. When you introduce yourself, you can share them. It's just a helpful way to bring pronouns into the room and not put that burden onto trans folks. We have other gender affirming strategies around how to do pronoun share outs, thinking about inclusive language and other things like that on our website. There's a list of 7 recommendations that we would love for ASG as senators and exec to just model for our community. We also have at USD resources specific and policies for trans students in terms of name change, gender marker change, housing accommodations. And so just familiarizing yourself with those resources is a great way that then if a constituent comes to you with questions, you know what's available or where to go to get more information. And then I'm really excited because we've just released guidelines for gender inclusive design. As you all know, as students, you fill out a ton of forms, applications, and surveys, and they vary widely in how well they're designed around asking questions of name, pronoun, gender markers, whether that's pulling from our existing system, which can be somewhat limiting, or you're designing it yourself. So anytime you're kind of pulling your constituents or asking questions or creating an application, or if you fill out an application and it doesn't meet these, we just encourage you to implement the guidelines, let people know who maybe aren't aware of them, that they exist and that there's a better way to ask that question. You can follow, like, and share our work, shameless plug, but a really helpful way to get especially new students connected would be to like offer to go to one of our programs with somebody. It helps them feel like there's maybe less of a risk getting in the door. And then lastly, continue your advocacy. So ASG last year passed a resolution around gender recognition. We're really grateful for that and for your consideration of the resolution coming up later today. And advocacy can be extended too to getting familiar with that first thing I mentioned, the gender affirming strategies, and then pointing out to peers or faculty if maybe they're not living up to what we know is best practice. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'll drop that in the chat because I know I said a lot in not a lot of time. I probably spoke too fast. And before I'm done, I just wanted to open it up to questions in case y'all had any.
Sabrina?
For the workshops, so I noticed there was 6 of them. Is each one covering a different topic, or are they all like similar? Like, how many would you recommend attending? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So the Safe Space Allies workshop, you only need to attend once. It's 2.5 hours, and you do get a placard at the end, and you can put in your email signature that you've gone through it. And so that workshop is the same content. We're offering it 6 times because we're asking the whole network, that's about 1,000 people, to refresh their skills. So you can just find one time that works for you. But the Rainbow Educator program does have 2 additional workshops around the LGBTQ+ community. So if you had a group of 8 or more, whether that's an org, you just wanted to do a training for you all as senators on like some other time optional, we have an LGBTQ+ 101 workshop and an Understanding the T. Those are both an hour and they're available by request to any stakeholder across campus and facilitated by volunteer faculty, staff, and students, both undergrad and grads.
Ari?
Yeah. Are you guys currently taking applications, or Safe Space Allies taking applications for Rainbow Educators? That way I can spread the word.
Do you mean for the volunteer role to be a Rainbow Educator?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we recruit and add new folks to the team annually, and we'll open up applications, I think, in March for the 2021-2022 academic year. And I can send that to Maya. Would it make sense to you to just let you all know when applications?
Thank you.